Oh my gosh, I totally wasn't expecting any visitors today. Welcome to my crib. I mean, welcome to my sewing space. Come on, come on. As you can see, it's very small. But just because you have small room to work with doesn't mean you can't have a sewing space. So if we start to your right, this is not related to sewing, but I share this space with other stuff, and that includes my fiance's tools. So this is all tools right here. And in front of the tools is the ironing board that is out right now. When it is not out, it is hanging up in a closet on a little hanger, but I'm working on stuff right now, so it is out. We have the little ironing here.
Lint roller.
I know what things are called. The lint roller. And then of course, distilled water, because I only use distilled water for ironing stuff. And then I'm gonna show you the furniture I have right now, so I can tell you what it is. We have this big white table here from IKEA, which is great for having all the machines out. So I have my regular sewing machine and the serger right here. And then most of where I keep all my supplies is right here. It's another IKEA piece of furniture. So to let you guys know what this is. Okay, this is called, forgive me Swedish people, this is a Malm 6 drawer. At the time of purchase, it was $179. And then this white table is extendable. This is the extendable part right here. So you can move this part in or have it out. I always have it out because I need more space. And this is called a fiance extend. I totally butchered that. And this actually is only $99 at the time of purchase. So talking more about the IKEA furniture with the fiance extendable table here, when this is fully extended, it's about 6 feet. And then if you remove this extended part, which kind of slides and pops out, if you slide it back in, then the table is 4 feet. But I always have it extended because I always need the space. IKEA furniture is affordable, but it's prone to wear and tear. So I put the kitchen mats down and I have the machine sit on them. That way I prevent damaging the table, especially because this table can be very damageable easily. This is where you can see the extended part, and this is how it will go back in here. And then this part of the room right here, I have the dress form, current project I am working on that I can't continue because I cannot find any dye anywhere. I don't know what's going on. Every single place is out of RIT dye. That's not important right now. What I also want to show you is that right over here, I have a lot of my rulers and my mats hanging up. That way it makes for easy access for grabbing them whenever you need them, if you just have them hanging up like this. And that's pretty much it for the table area right here. I recorded B-roll footage, but I don't really know how to use B-roll footage. Here you go. So now we are at this corner area of the room. This is a shoe hanging rack thing, but it's good for other things like a label maker, which you will see in my tour that I use basically all the time. I like to label make stuff. If it doesn't have a label, it's not organized. And then I always need a TV in a room so that I'm entertained, because I know most people work with music, but I really just need background noise. So I'm usually always watching something while I'm sewing. And then if you come over here to the drawers, so this is the IKEA Malm 6 drawer. It's very nice because it rolls out. And then to go along with this, I always buy the, as I butcher yet another Swedish word, skub. So I buy a lot of packs of this. So in here I have primarily my scissors and cutting tools, Chinese fortunes. Why? I don't know. Just because. I have some extra cones for the serger, batteries. I have my bias tape maker set. And then some notepads and everything, just little things in here, sticky notes. And then onto the next little drawer. Right here is primarily where I keep a lot of the ironing stuff. So this is a little ironing mitt. Then I have some interfacing right here and some heat and bond. And then I also have other things just hidden here. Like these are little nice bags that are good for tiny little things that you need to keep together. Well, this is a big bag. These are the tiny bags, but I have both. And then I have other things here, like these are for covering dresses and everything. It's a dress cover, so good for covering your cosplays and your closets. This is for more jewelry parts, so whenever I'm working on cosplay that has stuff like that. This is not related to sewing at all. I just have a little Vocaloid pencil case here that's not being used. And then a little jar for buttons and a pretty button. Ooh, why haven't I used that yet? I gotta use that. It's so pretty and shiny. I am easily distracted. Okay, so this jar will be fun because, as you can see, I drink a lot of tea. That's what these all are. These are all leftover tea cans from all the tea I've drank. And then I reuse them, put labels on them, and I store a bunch of sewing notions in them. So I have things like snap tape, hook and eye tape, pattern weights, sewing clips, elastic, Velcro, fabric chalk, bobbins, invisible zippers, just a whole bunch of stuff right here. So I don't know, just to show you guys. This is how I keep a lot of stuff. Because it's small, it helps it so that it all fits into this one drawer. And then along with that, I have these little containers here. So I have a lot of my extra sewing feet in here, as well as other things like the machine needles, an eyelet kit for corsets, and then a whole bunch of other little things that are just kind of in here. I have some empty ones too because they're not all filled, which is good because I can store more things. But yeah, I label everything because obviously they all look the same. I'm just drinking vanilla tea, so I need to label them to know what they are. So now we're at this drawer right here. And in here, same thing, I have some tea cans again, but I have some bias tape in here, as well as some other things such as like piping and such and ribbons. I also have oil for sewing machines and some marking tools like water soluble pens. These are also water soluble, but they're pencils. And then here's a quick tip. If you need something like, say you're making your own bias tape or ribbon or whatever, use leftover tissue boxes or something like that if you need to wrap something together. That way it just keeps it all neat and organized, and then you just finish it by using a pin. That way it doesn't move. Yeah, there's piping in here too. Ribbons, trimmings. Over here I have some stuff like Mod Podge and some like puffy paint. I have Rit paint too, but this is not the paint I need for that project over there. I have some wig supplies right here. So I have some of the Got2b Ultra Glue and also some tacky glue here. This is very good for if you're doing a wig that requires a lot of wefts and you need all the wefts to kind of stick together. Say you're making like a very spiky haired character like Yami from Yu-Gi-Oh! That works really well. And of course, the different scissors that you need for cutting wigs and wig caps. Then over here is just a lot of acrylic paint. I have a sander, I have my hot glue gun, and the glue for the hot glue gun was in here earlier. I have some other things like plastic boning and some metal wires back here. Second to last drawer now is all of my leftover fabric. So this is good for keeping for other projects, but also mainly scrap fabric, which is what I use it for. Because obviously for mock-ups and stuff, you can use muslin, right? But if you have a project you're working on and you have similar leftover fabric to it, I like to make use of that. That way I'm not going out, buying a bunch of muslin, and then I still have all of this leftover fabric. Because it's just kind of a waste to get rid of it if you have a lot left. It also makes it good for scrap fabric, for when you're testing different things out. So I have it organized kind of by type. So this is a lot of cottons. These are more specialty fabrics, satins, stretch fabric, white cotton. These fabrics aren't very long, so they're more used for scrap fabric than mock-up fabric. And then the bottom shelf is a lot more fabric again. Oh, these are just like for skirts and stuff, but I got it for free and I haven't found a use for it yet. There's like some fur down here. I have feathers that I also got for free, but haven't found a use for it yet. So this is like my least used stuff, but again, it's good for scrap fabric or testing fabric because I have like some stretch fabric here I could use for stretchy things if I need to test it. And then down here, there's like some vinyl as well. Some leftover vinyl from different projects I had. Okay, and that is pretty much it for the mall, the IKEA mall. All right, so over here, we have my thread. That was not sitting right. It sits right now. And then there's bobbin here underneath. I have a diffuser if I want it to smell nice in here, like, I don't know, lavender, eucalyptus. And then over here I have a little sewing box, which I primarily use for whenever I go somewhere else, say like to a friend's house to sew. And then I have like basic sewing maintenance tools in here for the sewing machine. And then I have a tape measure here. And then this poor tape measure is the victim of basically being ripped out, but it's useful, so I keep it. So I have quite a few tape measures here. Then a little sewing gauge, which I thought I lost, so I bought a new one, and now I have two. Not that it's bad to have two, but sometimes when you sew a lot, and there's just a mess around, you can't find things, you feel like they're lost forever. You go out, you buy something, and then of course, as soon as you buy it, you find what you were looking for. And this is for a project I'm currently working on, so it's just plastic sheet, pins, and seam rippers. I have seam rippers here, tiny ones, but I prefer to use the big one here. This one's nicer, more sturdy, easier to get things unseamed. And now we're moving on to the closet. This is not the kind of closet that I would choose, but it's what came with this house, which we can't really modify. It has this giant metal thing that's already built into it, so kind of had to work around that, which is a pain. It was a pain to figure out, but this is what I have. And you need to come over here so you can see what's upstairs. Okay, if I was redoing this closet by my own choice, I would have probably a shelf up here to keep all of the sewing fabric that's up there, and they're all on bolts. And then I would probably leave the rest of this so that you could include something like another dresser or just stacking a bunch of these plastic containers up on top of each other. And then you can store a lot more stuff. So not all of this is sewing, because some of this is just storage, but right here, so all the way up here is sewing fabric that is for future projects or upcoming projects that I'm working on. I keep them on sewing bolts. Fun fact, you can get sewing bolts at Joann's at the counter if you just ask them, hey, can I have any empty bolts you have? They're just gonna throw them away anyway. So I learned that a couple of years ago, and it's just really nice to keep your fabric organized. Then right here I have some future projects or current projects I'm working on, so I have all the fabric for them, and then I just kind of keep them in place so I know what's what when I want to go work on it. So then over here I have QB, guarding some other projects. But this is some other current projects I have going on because, you know, you just find where they fit eventually, because not all of us have an infinite amount of storage unit things to actually put things in. So these are nice sturdy little bags here that I got from a Japanese dollar store. Over here I have past cosplays that I've done. So what I kind of do is I just keep them in like plastic bags so I know what's what when I want to go and re-cosplay that character. So these are all small little accessories that are in here for this drawer. Back here, I have this is the wig head. I also have a tripod for the wig head that's back here as well. But obviously, wig head for styling wigs and the tripod that goes with it. And then down here, this is just some newer fabric as well. I've got some patterns here. These are more fashion patterns. And then down here, this is not a tea container. This is a cookie container, but it's nice and long and I plan on using it for some boning that I'm getting soon to store that. And here's some interfacing I was working with recently. And then more patterns. A lot more patterns in here. Because like I said in my other video, I have a hoarding problem with patterns. I like to get them on sale and I like to just hoard them because when I need them, they're there. And then, for those of you who remember the witches from Madoka, when my friends and I from Bonsai Pro cosplayed them, this was my mask. It's falling apart. It was made of foam. I know how to make a much better mask now, but this was like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. Still have it for some reason. And then down here I've got more things that are labeled extension cords. I have wig tools in here. So for example, with your wigs, you may need some hair clips to put in them so that they stick to your head. These are wig pins and like accessories for the wig head. And then of course, you need your handy dandy wig clips for whatever you're working on, depending on the wig. You may need a lot of them. I've got some mane and tail in here, which is very good for detangling wigs that are very difficult. I have gloves in here for when you're working on dyeing wigs. You don't want to, you know, get your hands covered in dye. Spare mirror for when you're cutting wigs or cutting them on somebody else. And then I have things like curling items for when you have to curl a wig. And these are more wig accessory things in here. And speaking of wigs, the majority of my wigs are stored here. The ones that can go back into a bag and kind of be stored where they're not, you know, specially stylized. Ignore these two. They're supposed to be in a bag. What I like to do is put them back in like a plastic bag they may have came in, cover them in their netting, and then I label them primarily what character they are. And if they have 2 characters for that one wig, then I mark 2 characters for them. So we have Madoka from Madoka Magica, Rin, Vocaloid, this is a special wig. And then I have some new wigs in here that I haven't even styled yet. Wefts. But yeah, you'd be surprised how much you can stuff in one of these storage things. Remilia. Yeah, there's a bunch of wigs in here. Oh, here's a character, or a wig used for 2 characters, Alice and Senna. So, pretty much it. Pretty much how I store my space. As for storing cosplays, I store them in a different closet. But like I said, the small accessories are in here and they're in baggies labeled by the character name, so it's easier to find. And for wigs that are specially stylized, I have them sitting on a shelf somewhere else. Well, I hope you enjoyed the tour, but there is sewing to be done. Back to the sewing sweatshop. So guess it's time for you to get out of here. You know, choo-choo. Get out. Gotta get back to sewing. Bye-bye. I forget what this is called.
That sticky stick.
That sticky stick?
Yeah.
The thing that things stick to?
Mm-hmm.
This is the lint roller.
They're brands.